With a bit of luck, we'll have a few minutes at the end, as I said, for questions. If you have any questions you want to type in, use the chat at the bottom of the screen and we can ask those questions at the end. So over to Nicola, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, great. Thanks, Trevor. I'm hoping you can all hear me and see my screen okay. As Trevor said, I'm Nicola. I'm the sales manager for Star Clippers here in the UK. I'm based today in sunny Cheltenham. So we're lucky to have some lovely sunshine this morning. Long lay that to live. And I'm going to be telling you all about this amazing product I work for here in the UK. Now, if any of you have sailed with us before, I might be telling you quite a lot of things you already know. If you've not sailed with us before, I'm going to open up your world to a whole new way of travelling. Now, let's get started with who are Star Clippers. We are actually owned by a family, and they are originally from Sweden and moved to Monaco many moons ago and created these beautiful ships that we now sail and ask you to join us on sailing. We have 3 ships in our fleet. We have the Star Clipper, Star Flyer and Royal Clipper. Now, in any normal year, Star Clipper would currently be finishing her programme in Thailand and heading to Borneo for 4 sailings before going to Bali and completing her season back in Asia. And her rotation's been the same for the last 5 years. So Star Clipper mainly is in Asia. Star Flyer is her sister ship, and they really are identical, even down to the pictures in the dining room. They are exactly the same. Star Flyer this time of year normally will be doing a transatlantic cruise from St. Martin in the Caribbean back to the Mediterranean, where she's based out of Athens, and she stays there on rotation all the way through to October before she transatlantics back to St. Martin. Now, transatlantic cruise is definitely not for everybody, but if you do like to get away from society, it's a perfect way to spend 12 days at sea, really getting your thoughts together and immersing yourself in the sailing experience. Now, Royal Clipper normally would be also transatlantic in back to the Mediterranean. In the winter months, she's based in Barbados, and then comes the Med, and there's a rotation of sailings out of Venice, Rome and France. So she has some great combination cruising. And then both Star Flyer and Royal Clipper both then head back to the Caribbean for their winter positioning. By far our most popular sailing in our winter collection is out of Barbados. And of course, the circumstances we're in at the moment, the ships are not where they're supposed to be. We have cancelled all of our sailings at the moment up until early August. And of course, now we're waiting, like everybody, for the green flag from our government and from European governments, because we need to be able to get into the destination safely and put our customers safely at the forefront of what we do. So we have no update as of yet. We're still waiting for this information, but as soon as we know it, Bull Winds are a preferred partner for us, so we'll make sure the guys and the teams all know exactly what's happening so they can cascade that back down to you. Just a bit of information about the ships. So Star Clipper, Star Flyer are 4-mast sailing ships. They hold 164 guests. And they have 85 cabins. Now, the cabins are predominantly outside cabins, so you will get a picture window or a porthole, but no balconies on board these ships. Now, they are beautiful. When we sail with the sails up on these ships, it's something special. You can see there from the pictures, they're so elegant and beautiful to look at, and even better to sail on. Royal Clipper is our flagship. She's a 5-mast ship. She's slightly bigger with 224 guests on board, and she does have balconies. So there's 14 of those on board Royal Clipper, and they do get booked up very quickly. We have around about 65% of our customers come back to us every year. So as soon as they get back off the ships, they're rebooking and they're booking their preferred cabins. So I know it's a bit of a sales pitch, but with Star Clippers, we only have 3 ships with not many cabins. So if you've got a preferred cabin and you know you want to sail on that particular sailing, it's worth just booking the cabins, and then we can book your flights and accommodation around it at a later date. All three ships have exactly what you'd expect from cruising, as in we have amazing service, fantastic food, lots of activities going on sailing days. We've got spas, gyms, libraries, cafes, but everything's on a smaller scale than what you'd get on the big ship. So if you've not cruised before, this is a whole new world to you. If you have cruised before, you'll know that the backbone of cruising is the same whoever you cruise with. But not just about the cruising. People come with Star Clippers because they want to go to smaller ports that perhaps big cruise ships can't get to. So an example would be, if you're looking at a Greek cruise, we go to Skopelos and Skiathos and Limenos and Poros, and none of the big cruise ships can actually get into those destinations. So you don't have that fear of getting off the ship and exploring Skiathos town with 12,500 other people. So we try to go to places that really are unpopulated by tourism. You get everything you'd expect on board as a cruise ship, but you get the experience of being on a private mega yacht. I can remember one time when I was on her coming out of Ibiza, and I was the only person on top deck about 6:30 in the morning, and I really did feel like I was on my own private yacht. And it's one of those memories that you keep with you forever, with the wind blowing, the sails are up, but not a sound around you. You couldn't find that anywhere else. It truly is an amazing experience. Now, when you're on the ship, you're not asked to sail the ship. So this is a holiday for you. But if you do have a passion for sailing, or just want to know a bit more about it, then you are invited to use the ship as you want to. So if you want to go and sit with the captain and learn about navigation on the bridge, then it's open 24 hours a day and you're welcome to go and chat that through. If you're more interested in finding about the destinations, where we've come from, what we do, then the cruise directors are on board to give some fantastic and really intimate talks about some of the great places we've sailed to and the mechanics behind the ship. But if, like me, you just like a good old sun lounger in the sun, you can see from that picture there's plenty of those, lots in the shade, and of course plenty in the sun. There's 2 small plunge pools, 3 on Royal. So on sailing days you can just relax. But if you are interested in being a bit more energetic and seeing a bit more of the ship, you are more than welcome to climb the crow's nest. Our crew are there to assist you. They'll put you in a harness, and as long as you've got your trainers on, you can get to the very top and see the most magnificent views of your surroundings. Maybe you're into rigging and would like to get involved in the rigging of the ship, then of course you are more than welcome to join our crew when we're putting our sails up and get the experience of really trying to be part of the crew and indulging perhaps your habit or your passion. But again, for me, sitting on the front of the ship on the nets is a big tick. Now, I was lucky enough a few years ago to be sailing on the Croatian coastline, where there's fantastic dolphin activity, and the dolphins were playing underneath the nets as we were sailing, and it was wonderful to see them in their natural habitats and really enjoying their natural surroundings, and me and my partner just being able to watch it. Anyone can go on the front nets as long as you're a bit sturdy, because you can see there's no steps, you just climb onto there and then clamber along to the front. Fantastic way to see the world when you're sailing. Now, a big part of sailing with Star Clippers is the actual sailorways. So when you're in your destinations, you generally get a full day. We try to get in for sort of 10 o'clock, and then we try to leave round about sunset, so 6:30, 7 o'clock. Now, the big part of sailorway is going on top deck, and we turn all the main lights off the ship and just have our sparkly little twinklet lights on. And then we put our sails up to music, and we use a piece of music by Vangelis, which is called The Conquest of Paradise. It's a very haunting piece of music. It stays with you forever, and it's very dramatic. Again, one of the times I sailed out of Malaga, we sailed past a very big cruise liner that had just pure balconies, and every balcony was full of people staring over at this beautiful ship, the Queen of the Waterways, sailing out of this port with her magnificent sails up, the lights sparkling, and this thunderous piece of music playing in the background. It's very special, and everyone who sails with us will tell you this ultimately is one of their best memories. And of course, we do like to sail under sail as much as we possibly can. It isn't always guaranteed though. We like to say we sail at 70% under sail, but it all comes down to the weather conditions whether it's applicable to put the sails up, whether we're on track for getting to the destination, and whether the winds are going in the right way to get us to where we need to be. When you're on board the ship, like all cruise lines, it's about the food, and it is full board on our ship, so breakfast and lunch, and then your evening meal. If you're in the Caribbean or in Thailand, one of the things that the crew like to do is find a deserted beach, disembark the ship with all of the things we need for a barbecue, some beers and some wine and some soft drinks, and set up an afternoon barbecue on the beach. It's fantastic. It makes you feel a little bit like Robinson Crusoe on this deserted beach with fellow passengers and some lovely food. Tea and coffee and drinking water are complimentary on board the ship, and we don't have any drinks packages, but to give you an idea of drinks on board, if you're having a gin and tonic, it's about €3, a beer's £4, and a sail away cocktail would be €5. So really it's very reasonable to have a drink on board the ship. Everything's in euros, doesn't matter where you're sailing, everything's in euros, and we don't have to put VAT or tax on top of the price you see. So if you pay €10 for a round of drinks, that's what you'll be paying when you leave the ship. Gratuities are absolute discretionary. They're up to yourselves whether you want to pay them. We recommend €8 per person per day, but again, it's not something you have to take part in. Excursions are all bookable on board. Now, some of the destinations we go to, it's very easy to get off the ship and do your own thing. Some of the destinations we go to, so if you're in Thailand and you wanted to go and see James Bond Island, for example, just off Phuket, we would have to do that via excursion, which you can book on board and charge back to your cabin. So with the evening meal, it's very much about relaxed dining. Once you go down for dinner, the maitre d' will ask you what language you speak to make sure you can be sat with someone that speaks the same language as you. If you'd rather sit on your own, they'll always try to accommodate smaller seating areas. It is a 6-course silver service dining experience. And of course, we do have the infamous Captain's Night on board our ships with the Baked Alaska and the waving of the napkins. It's very relaxed. We don't have any formalities at dinner. The only thing we ask is that gentlemen do wear long trousers. Open dining, which means you can go in between 7 and 9, so you don't have to put yourself in a situation where you have to be ready for dinner at that time every single night. You can just go with the flow and have dinner when you feel like it. Now, I joined Star Clippers from working on a river cruise company, and this picture will stay with me forever. I couldn't really imagine this atrium inside one of our ships until I went on board and saw it for myself. And hard to believe that this beautiful sized atrium is inside Royal Clipper. Now you can see there from its decor, it's very much in keeping with its time. It's very elegant, has a real sense of luxury as you walk around it, and really easy to navigate around. As you can see there from the different levels, we do have the main dining room at the bottom on Royal Clipper, and the cabins then are off each level. There is no lifts on board our ships, so you do need to be fully able to be able to access the dining room and to be able to get on and off the ship. Now, like all cruise lines, or holiday, should I say, it does matter about your evening entertainment and where you're going to go. And all of our ships have a bar area called the Tropical Bar. Now, you can see in this picture, we've got an inside and an outside. The inside is through those double doors, and there's plenty of seating area and table service. But if you choose to sit outside, which on a lovely evening with that lovely warm wind, perfect way to end the day. And here we'll have our low-key entertainment, and it can be anything from, we have a pianist on board just playing some really low-key music. It could be Dancing with the Stars. We might do Royal Clipper Has Talent. It could be stargazing. There is a whole host of different low-key activities should you want to get involved with them, but they're not compulsory. But if you have cruised before and you're used to Broadway shows, that's something we don't do it on our ships. We don't have the space to start with, and also it's really about the sailing and getting to the destinations rather than sitting on ships and watching shows. But our crew will always do their utmost to keep you entertained. All water sports are free on board Star Clippers, except scuba diving. We have selected cruises where if you are a scuba diving, you're welcome to join us as long as you're qualified, and you can pay to join the instructors. If you're like me and you're just quite happy to go paddleboarding, kayaking, snorkeling, then we'll take all of our equipment to the beach and you can use the facilities for free. If you're on Royal Clipper, you'll see from this picture, the back of the ship comes down and then you can jump off the back or use the water sports off the back of Royal Clipper. Beautiful if you're doing this in the Med in the summer, really lovely experience. Now we'll talk a bit about cabins, something we get asked quite a lot about. Now I'm going to tell you about 70% of our cabins are very similar to category 3. There's a few variants on where they are and the configuration, but mainly the cabins will look like this. So double or twin beds. This one's got a porthole. They've all got marble en suites with toiletries, plenty of space to put your luggage. We've got TVs if you do want to spend some time in your cabins, and DVD players as well. Wi-Fi is payable on board. My biggest tip is not bother. It's something that you have to sort of learn to have that time to turn off from. You do go into port every day, so you can pick up 3 and 4G and check in at home if you need to. But really, when you're on board the ship, it is about immersing yourself in the sailing experience. And this is a cliche, but I'm going to say it. You don't spend any time apart from sleeping in your cabins. It's all about being on deck and really enjoying yourself and immersing yourself in the sailing experience. But we equally know it's very important to have a good night's sleep. And if you are a bit prone to seasickness or a bit worried about it, I would suggest that you try to pick perhaps one of the higher up categories, such as category 1. They're higher up the ship, they've got bigger windows, so you might find that does help. Category 1 get booked up quite quickly. They're slightly bigger, but the amenities that you get inside the lower grade categories will be exactly the same. So turn down service. If you want to have room service, then you certainly can. So on Royal Clipper, I mentioned earlier on that we do have balconies, and they're called deluxe suites on board Royal Clipper. And you can see from my picture, there's a small balcony which you can go and sit and enjoy some time outside with whoever you're traveling with. The cabins are bigger and obviously have that luxury of having that outdoor space. So deluxe suites do get booked up very quickly. So as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the issues we have with our ships, is trying to get you the right cabins. And if you want deluxe suites, you need to book them well in advance. So let's move on to our destinations. So we're going to start with Southeast Asia, which for me has been my favourite programme that we've had at Star Clippers. Sailing through the natural limestone rocks, the national parks in Thailand, is something that really is amazing. It takes you way back in time. No other cruise lines were allowed to sail around the national parks. So I sailed from Phuket to Langkawi in Malaysia, stopping at some really beautiful locations, fantastic pitches, great snorkeling, really deserted parts of Thailand that you don't get to see the mass tourism. If you get into Langkawi, you can do your own independent touring, or you can book it on board the ship. The bottom one there is an amazing itinerary which takes in some fantastic parts of the other side of Thailand, so on Koh Samui side of the destination, as well as taking in Cambodia, where the ship stays overnight. So customers, if they want to do, can go off to Angkor Wat and watch sunrise, sunset in this fabulous destination. Now, we have taken a decision as a business that this is our last season in Thailand. So in March 2022, we are going to move Star Clipper out of Thailand. And unfortunately, this is a real shame for us. We do absolutely love this part of the world, but we need to have Star Clipper back in Europe, because we are coming to a part of our journey on sailing where the Mediterranean is our most popular destination. So having 3 ships in the Med makes total sense. So if you are looking to go to Asia, March 2022 will be the end of that sailing. And then we come into the Med. Now, the Med for me is just the most beautiful part of the world. We're so lucky to have this on our doorstep. And the Eastern Med for me is by far my favourite sailing. So this used to be called Mamma Mia, and we dropped the name purely because people thought it was a Mamma Mia cruise and you'd have to participate, which you certainly don't. It's just we go to Skopelos and Skiathos, which is where the film was filmed. So 7 nights sailing around the Mediterranean. On this particular cruise, you'd be looking around about £1,600 per person, which is exceptional value when you think about island hopping around Greece. We'd have to include your flights on top of that. But again, we can do that to wherever you need to fly from. The bottom one, the Western Med, well, sailing out of Venice on Royal Clipper is our most popular sailing here in the Mediterranean. We are still allowed to sail in and out of Venice. Our ships don't hit the tonnage that they've now put into law for cruise ships. So if you still want to have that experience, and you can do so. We sail along the most amazing Croatian coastline. The Dalmatian coast is stunning. The scenery, the wildlife, the experience of going into these places is second to none. We also take in some of the bigger destinations such as Corfu. We go up to Rome. We do the Amalfi Coast with some stenches in Portofino. We also do the French Monaco Grand Prix. We try to incorporate any sort of major events into the sailing we possibly can. But the most popular really is the 7 nights sailings. And then with Star Clipper coming back to the Med, we have introduced some new sailings out of Turkey, so out of Istanbul. So really excited to be able to include this in our itineraries. We've not had any Turkey sailings for quite a long time. So this is definitely on my bucket list for summer 2022. I'm desperate to sail out of Turkey in the evening on a tall ship and sail into Athens, taking those beautiful destinations we just talked about. So this is leading in at £1,600 per person. So for 7 nights sailing from Athens to Istanbul or the reverse is super good value. So this is something that you think you'd be interested in. Let the teams know, and we can pull together some packages with some regional flights for you if you'd wish. So there's the itinerary in more detail. So it's going to be doing the Skopelos and Skiathos, Poros and Limenos, beautiful traditional Greek villages to go and visit and really explore and immerse yourself with a mythos and maybe a Greek salad and maybe an ouzo to finish the afternoon off. Just don't be late for getting back on the ship. So we talked about the ocean crossings already. And then let's move on to the Caribbean. So Barbados is where Royal Clipper's based. And this is one of our most popular sailings in the winter. Great, perfect flights in the UK, some lovely pre and post stays in Barbados, and sailing around these beautiful islands really is the most popular destination for us in the winter. 7 nights sailing around the Caribbean on board Royal Clipper, you'd be looking around about £1,400 per person, plus flights and any additional stays that you'd want to look at. So again, it is great value. The bottom destination that you can see is Starflyers, and she sails out of St. Martin's and really does go to some fantastic parts of the Caribbean, really where the rich and the famous and the super glamorous hang out in the British Virgin Islands. And the biggest issue we have with St. Martin is our flights are not direct from the UK, and you can go into Antigua, so perhaps have a few nights there and then bob across on the small aircraft to St. Martin to join the ship, or you can go via France or Amsterdam for a more direct route into the Caribbean. Both sailings are extremely popular, a great way to spend a couple of weeks in the winter months to recoup. Now, I mentioned that Star Clipper's moving. So we've talked about where she's going for the summer. She's going to be coming back to the Med. She's doing those amazing sailings out of Istanbul before going to Rome and doing the Italian cruising for the rest of her summer. And then for winter, I'm really pleased to tell you that we're going to be moving Star Clipper to Costa Rica. Now, it's probably been 11 years since we've been in Costa Rica. A truly wonderful, awe-inspiring destination. Whether you're a beach lover, you like some history, you've got a thrill of adventure, this ticks the box for everybody. So we'll be starting from the Panama to Costa Rica, and then we'll be going to Nicaragua, and then on the reverse back down to Panama. So you can do the 7 night sailing, or you can do a back-to-back sailing, which means you'll see both parts of Costa Rica. We've just launched some fabulous packages, which include some pre and post stays. So perhaps you want to go along and hear or see a bit more about the live volcano. You might want to do some zip wiring through the rainforest. You might want to go and have a stay in the Eco Lodge with no Wi-Fi, no air conditioning, a real step away from society. They're Options for Costa Rica are absolutely endless and fantastic. We'll be leading in on our early booking sale at just over £1,300 per person for cruise only, and we really can work with you to make this the perfect dream destination with all the additional options you can do in Costa Rica. I mentioned earlier about the Grand Prix. We do have Royal Clipper will be in Monaco for the Grand Prix next year. We also do some great one-offs or some great bucket lists. We do the Al Andalucia train in southern Spain, which ties up nicely with a 7-night sailing on board the ship. We do the Panama Canal. We had the Suez Canal, which is completely sold out now. And one of our most popular sailings is the Venice Simplon Orient Express, as well as sailing on board Royal Clipper out of Venice. This one is a true bucket list, ticket off the list experience. You get to sail along the Croatian coastline on Royal Clipper before joining the Orient Express up to France and having an overnight on board this iconic train. Then join the Belmont on the other side of the water, which takes you into London. So for those of you who've got any amazing anniversaries next year or just really want to experience a fantastic dual holiday, this will be one I could definitely recommend. In light of the pandemic, we have released seasons a little bit earlier than we've ever done before. So we're now up on sale until March 2023. So that's for us is unheard of, but you know, we've had to change the way that we work now. So next summer's looking quite full. So we're expecting summer 2022 and 2023 to be exceptionally busy in light of what's happened. We're not got a date for summer 2023 to go on sale yet, but again, we'll cascade that through the team at Baldwins once we've got this information. We do some great early booking discounts, up to 20% on some sailings. We offer, if you travel with us before, you can get your repeat passenger discount. And we also do back-to-back. So if you want to do 2 7-nights cruising, there's a nice discount to help you out if you're going to do 2 back-to-back cruises. Now, for all the brochures, please get in contact with your local branch. They'll be able to help you out with brochures or be able to help you out with any inquiries that you might have. And before I finish, I just want to leave you with this iconic picture of Royal Clipper as she's leaving the port of Venice and starting her cruise. And as I said, we are the only cruise ships that will be allowed to sail in and out of Venice in the future. And so truly beautiful, I'm sure you'll agree. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I hope I've managed to enlighten you in my 29 minutes I've been talking for a bit about Star Clippers. I'm open to questions, but I know if perhaps you don't want to ask them now, then please feel free to go back to the guys at Baldwins and they can pass them on to me in the future. So thank you again for your time, and back over to Tricia or Trevor, whoever's there from Baldwins.
We're both here, I think.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah, great. I was just on my email, so I was listening, but not watching. But no, really good, and I love the product as well. It's always been so good, and the thought of going under canvas and everything, and how free you are on board as well. So yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I had clients go well before the pandemic, and he came back and was so thrilled that the captain had let him hold on to the steering wheel as well. So. So yeah, they're just free to do and go.
And it is absolutely true. Like, I've been on there when customers have wanted to see the engine room, and the crew have taken them down there so they can have a good old look around to get an idea of how the ship works. And they're so incredibly friendly and just want to welcome you in. And you can be on our ships and be sailing with our owners. You wouldn't know it. They don't go around saying they're the owners, but they still go on the ship as normal passengers and just have the best time. It's so super relaxed. I get that people sometimes think it can be a bit stuffy, but it's absolutely not. It's the most relaxing thing I've ever been on.
Yeah. So let's open up as if anybody's got any questions. Yeah, we've got a question there. Do you want to unmute yourself? And
yes. What are your single supplements like?
So we have guaranteed single sail supplements on all of our sailings. So what that means is we will give you reduced cabin. So there'll be a tiny supplement, maybe sort of £30–40, but we won't tell you your cabin until you're on board the ship. Now, that might sound a bit panicky, but just to put that in perspective, we only have one inside cabin on both of our ships. So the likelihood of you getting that is pretty slim. So we used to have two, but we've now made it down to one. So you are likely to get an outside cabin. On Royal Clipper, cabin 232 is solely for single passengers. It's a double cabin with just single occupancy, and there's no charges for that one. So if you saw us sailing on Royal Clipper and that cabin was available, you get it at the price. You wouldn't have to pay a supplement. We do get a lot of solo travellers. We get a lot. It's safe. You don't feel intimidated. There's always someone to talk to or not talk to if you don't want to. Getting on and off the ship is easy. You know, you're so close to town centres, you don't feel you have to go on a bus to sit with people you don't know. So we do attract a lot of the solo market, which is lovely when you're on board. It's so friendly. You never feel threatened or on your own. But if you want to step away and have some time on your own, there are plenty of places to do that on the ship.
Thank you.
That's
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, we got one there for Barbara. Turn your microphone on, Barbara. No, you're still on mute.
Yeah,
oh, there you go. That's it. You're on now.
Do you cater for vegetarians?
I am a vegetarian of 35 years, and yes, they absolutely do. And they also, which I'm very happy about, is when you go to have food, this might change after pandemic, but they make sure the utensils are not cross-contaminated. You know, if you go down sometimes and someone's used a fork or the clippers to get a bit of ham and then just put it back in the salad pot, there's always someone making sure that doesn't happen. It's my bugbear on holiday that people do that. So I can guarantee that's absolutely fine. And also when I was on the ship last time, I don't remember what the meal was now. I think it had goat's cheese in it. It was something I didn't like, and the chef just made me a completely different meal. When there's less of you on the ship, they are more likely to just cater a bit more for your needs. So I was never made to feel like the vegetarian. My food came out the same time as everybody else's, and they just catered. You know, sometimes, you know, I didn't want a lavish meal. They would just make me something just plain with some salad, and I never felt like I was being outcasted. But the biggest thing is they didn't allow people to mix the utensils.
Yeah, that's very good.
It's very important when you're a vegetarian. People forget that.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking about food and obviously diets, I mean, I presume you cater for all diets, including the allergies and everything.
Yes. If you can just please give us advance warning, because once we have to get our catering on board, we need to make sure we've covered it for everybody. Once you book, then tell you guys, and you guys tell us, we make sure that the ship knows you're coming, any requirements like that. I travelled out with someone last year, a couple of years ago, that couldn't have salt. Very unfortunate, because most things are cooked in salt, right?
Yeah, how do they cope with the salt air?
Or when they go swimming.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Yeah. So yes, they were I think it was very unusual, but the chef did very well in making sure that they were catered for. But yes, any requirements, as long as we know in advance.
Yeah, I've swallowed the Mediterranean many a time.
Although what I would do to do that now, Trevor.
Oh, yes.
To be in the Mediterranean.
Any more questions? I know we got quite a few with your videos off, so just turn your microphone on and shout at us if you've got a question.
Well,
yeah.
So do you get many sort of older passengers?
Our average age is between 55 and 65, so I'm not sure if you class that as old. We don't. As long as you're fully able and you can get on and off the ship, you are more than welcome. We don't have any lifts, but as long as you can get up and down the stairs, again, you're more than welcome. We've got passengers who've been traveling us for 28 years, and now are at a different stage to where they were 28 years ago, but they know how it works on the ship and are quite happy to take things at a slower pace. If you're walking with a stick, that's fine too. We'll try to accommodate the embarkation and disembarkation so you're not pushed out the way. It's just more about getting on and off the ship. As long as you're able-bodied, we don't mind. We don't get a huge amount of families. I think it's because the Wi-Fi is not so good, and we don't have any PlayStations. We don't have any kiddies reps. We don't have any facilities for children, but they are welcome. It's just they have to.
Can I just interrupt because we've got less than a minute left, so we're going to get tucked off. So thank you each and every one of you. Anybody's got any more questions, then email them through and we will get the answer. Did Marianne, did you have a question? No, you were waving goodbye. Okay, thank you very, very much, each and every one of you, and thanks for joining us. If you've got questions, I said email them through to marketing and we'll get them answered for you. So thank you, Nicola, for the presentation as well.
You're more than welcome. See you all. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.